I mean, architecture criticism is so different to other forms of criticism because it has no immediate impact, right? If I write a restaurant review, I can massively change the fortunes of that restaurant. If it's a glowing review, hundreds of people might visit that restaurant who wouldn't have done otherwise. If it's a damning review, people might stay away and eat somewhere else. With architecture criticism, it doesn't make that much difference. The building has still been built, the architects have still been paid, and so the question is like, well, what's the point of architecture criticism? Because it doesn't seem to have that immediate impact. And the answer to that question is, well, it's not actually about the immediate impact. It's about a much longer term project of changing people's perceptions of the city, of advocating certain ideas, of building up an argument over time that can start to change a consensus. So I think architecture criticism is quite unique in that sense, and it's quite a different art form to other forms of critical writing because it's always taking that long-term perspective into account. It's always thinking about how does this building not just work as an object, but how does it relate to a much wider context that will unfold over years and maybe even decades. So I think that the world in which architects and urban planners and landscape designers and policymakers work together is amazing and fascinating and really important and affects everybody's lives in a really big way. But that world can often be quite insular. Ordinary people who haven't studied these subjects or don't work as professionals in the kind of built environment or in city making rarely get an opportunity to take part in debates about that world, which is a real shame. It's a shame partly because I think we would get a better quality of built environment if there were more voices and more diverse voices taking part in the debates about how that built environment is made and what it's like. But it also would be more satisfying to be a citizen in a city that takes your voice seriously, that consults you in creative and engaging ways about the future of the cityscape that you are a part of. So I think the role of architectural criticism is fundamentally to engage the public. That's not to say you can't have architectural criticism that is industry focused or kind of deeply embedded in the sector. But I think the best stuff and the stuff that I'm most interested in is when it is able to reach out and draw a bigger audience into that world. That might be a younger audience, an older audience, a more diverse audience, a different kind of audience. But critical writing should always be an attempt to reach out, I think. It's about bringing people into a conversation. There are many wrong motivations to start criticism with. I think that the most obvious one is like, who's paying the bills? If you're the kind of critic who's first and foremost thinking about how do you keep the subject that you're writing about happy, the designer or the institution that's paying for your press trip or whatever it is, if you're thinking more about what they want you to write than what your readers want you to write and what the public want you to write and what the world needs you to write, then you're probably going to produce quite a poor and perhaps even uncritical form of writing. So I think it's the responsibility of a good critic to put their own views aside to some extent and to think, well, what is my responsibility here? What is my responsibility to my community, but also to the world at large? And that's even more important now than ever, now that we know more about climate breakdown and the climate crisis and the role that cities and architecture and the built environment are playing in that crisis and contributing to that crisis. So we need to essentially put the planet first and put people and planet first. And that is challenging. It's a fragile economy. It feels like the media is under huge pressure from the rise of artificial intelligence and other kinds of economic pressures. But as critics, we still have a responsibility to push ourselves and to make sure that we're starting with those fundamental responsibilities first and foremost.